Hi, welcome back to the channel, and everybody, we are talking about the AFC West today. And actually today we had a big time move in the trade market with Matt Ryan being traded to the Indianapolis Colts for a third round pick from the Atlanta Falcons. I mean, this is a move that I didn't really want to make a whole video on. I've made a couple TikToks on it already. If you haven't seen my TikTok, go follow it. It's in the description of this video. But just quick synopsis of what I feel about that trade. I mean, it's a good move for the Colts. They get another Band-Aid at quarterback. It feels like another Phillip Rivers situation. I think Matt Ryan might have 1 to 2 good years. It doesn't really help them in the long term. And then for the Falcons side of it, a lot of people are saying, well, why would you give up your best quarterback in franchise history? I feel like it's not similar in the situation of Russell Wilson, as they both are quarterbacks that were the best of their own franchises that are getting moved off in this offseason. Matt Ryan felt disrespected when they went for Deshaun Watson. And I don't really understand why the Falcons were so all in. I think they just wanted to potentially get a big star to sell some tickets. I don't really believe in the Falcons ownership overall. I do like their head coach and Arthur Smith, but that roster and that franchise are in decrepit mode, basically. They need to fix a lot of holes on that roster, and they were going to have to give up a lot of assets that they don't really have a ton of to get Deshaun Watson. I do think that Matt Ryan was a good bridge quarterback potentially for him, but he also did take a lot of their cap space, and they take a flyer on Marcus Mariota, which I thought they should have taken a flyer on Baker Mayfield, if anything. But at the end of the day, you end up getting the best that you can with the situation that they put themselves in. And it's like a C+ for the Falcons. It's a B- in my opinion for the Colts. It's kind of a mid-tier move. It gets the Colts in a good spot to maybe win a playoff game, but I don't think they host a wild card game. At best they do. But I don't really expect much from the Indianapolis Colts this year just because it's not our Band-Aid. I think if they get a good weapon in the draft, I think it'll be a big-time buff, as they really need to revamp that wide receiver room with T.Y. Hilton not really being as prevalent as he was in previous years. Michael Pittman's a good asset. But that's how I feel about the Matt Ryan trade. Just wanted to get that out of the way. Didn't want to make a whole video on that. And in this video, we're going to be talking about the AFC West. The AFC West, as of March 21st, 2022, we're going to be talking about the AFC West and how I personally feel that this division is the toughest in football history right now. And I'm going to rank what I think they're going to land in at the end of the season in March 21st. I think this is going to be a weird projection. It's going to change. The draft hasn't happened. We still have some big-time free agents. Trades still can happen. The Chiefs haven't made a big-time move. We don't know where Tyrann Mathieu is, but I wanted to make this video because right now this division is insane. We don't have any injuries to worry about, and obviously injuries are probably going to hinder the standings in this whole situation, but I'm going to go from 4 to 1 on what teams I think they're going to land at and what I feel and how I feel like they're going to end up in the spot. At number 4, I do have the Las Vegas Raiders. This is no disrespect to the Raiders in my opinion. I don't think that the Raiders are a bad team. I think they could still easily be in the playoffs with this division being as stacked as they are. Obviously, big time acquisitions for the Raiders have been Chandler Jones and Devontae Adams through trade. And I think that they have a really good roster around them. I think they still need to build off that cornerback position a little bit. Their safeties aren't that great. That's why I don't feel that they're going to be a fantastic team. I think they're going to have a lot of firepower. I mean, look at their offense. You have Darren Waller. You have Josh Jacobs. Derek Carr's a viable top 10 quarterback. You have Devontae Adams. They could add a weapon potentially in the draft in a later round with how deep this wide receiver class is. Not to mention Hunter Renfrow is a fantastic player. I think they have a couple good guys on the offensive line. Their offensive line is a little shaky in my opinion. They could get a Teron Armstead. They also could get a Stephon Gilmore in the cornerback room, which might honestly put them in the 3 spot. I think their max is second in the division. I don't think they win this division. I think it's just too stacked. Barring an injury, I think this division's way too stacked. I think their ceiling is number 2, but I think right now I would have them at number 4 unless they get another acquisition such as a Gilmore or a Teron Armstead. They did offer, I believe, both. And I do like some of the young pieces they have on the defense. I don't love Josh McDaniels. I forget to mention that. I don't really love him as a coach. I think that he, yes, will add a lot of dimension on the offense that needed it and maybe be an adult in the room. But his first run as a head coach wasn't fantastic. He's going to have a big-time development in that area. Belichick assistants tend not to do fantastic, unlike a Sean McVay or things like that. But I think the Raiders are number 4. I would have at number 3, this might be a surprising pick to some people, and this is going to be my hottest take of the video. Kansas City Chiefs, I think, might end up being number 3 on this list, and I don't think they're a bad team. I think that they are just getting outclassed in some of the positions, and I think Making it to another AFC championship will be one of the greatest feats in all of football history if the Chiefs are able to do so with the division that they're in, because it is remarkable that they were able to make the comebacks in the playoffs like they did, but to do it again and again and again. And I fully understand if you are typing in the comment section right now, oh my God, you're such an idiot, why don't you have them 1 or 2? There's always a surprise in the offseason. There's always a surprise in the season. I think this is going to be the biggest surprise of them all, is them ending up in 3. And I don't think they host a playoff game this year, barring injuries and things of that nature. I think they're very top heavy. I don't know if they have a lot of depth. I don't like their running back room. I don't like their second wide receivers. As much as I love Juju, I don't know if he really fits in the offense too well, but I understand Andy Reid's most likely going to make that work. Justin Reid has not been able to play a full healthy season. Chris Jones has been more injury prone. I don't love their linebackers. I think Nick Bolton's a fine linebacker. I think he had some great moments. I really don't like their cornerback room. In a division that has Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, Devontae Adams, Jerry Jeudy, who's a fantastic route runner, Courtland Sutton, you need some good corners, and they don't have one. Chardavius Ward went, I think, to a different team. I think maybe the Vikings. I could be completely wrong, but he actually played pretty well for them. I don't know what their cornerback room is going to look like. I do believe they did have Ladarius Sneed, who played pretty well. I don't know if he got injured. It's hard to keep up, but I think he had some really good moments as a rookie last year, but he was really good in Madden, I must say that. I got him in Madden early on, and I thought this dude was going to be a baller. They're going to need a lot of progression from these younger guys that are either 3rd or 4th round picks. I don't know what their pick situation is, but they're going to have to bolster up in the draft to, in my opinion, go from 2nd or 1st place in the division. I think their ceiling is obviously 1st place. I think they can revamp this offense once again, and I think the short passing game is what's really helped them. Learning from Patrick Mahomes' mistakes of always wanting to go for the deep ball, Andy Reid adjusted late into the season, and that's what made them have the surge that they did, was dink and dunking, the Patriots way of just always getting the ball into your playmakers' hands and always getting the first down and not always going for the deep shot. But what scares me the most is I don't like their running game at all right now. I don't like Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I don't like their running back room, and they could easily get a guy like Isaiah Spiller or a Breece Hall, which would absolutely make me believe this team could be back in 1st place. I don't love their offensive line too much. I feel like there's still some holes, and they can't afford a slow start like they did at the beginning of this year, where everyone was saying that this dynasty is over. And it's so hard to replicate what the Patriots were doing, and I think, honestly, they could obviously make the playoffs. I think that they could win a playoff game or 2, but I don't think they host it, and I don't know if they get the bye, and I think they are my 3rd place team in the AFC West as my hot take, because I think they may start off slow. They've been doing this for so long. I think that they have all the potential to match what the Patriots were doing as a dynasty and always being a top seed, but it's going to be very hard to replicate, and I don't know if they can do it. I don't know. It'll be very interesting to see. My 2nd place team, I am running this video pretty long so far, is the Denver Broncos. I think the Denver Broncos, they don't have the draft picks to bolster up in the draft, but I really like their overall roster. I think that their wide receiver room is getting a little bit overrated. They had to give up a ton of assets and a lot of locker room leadership. But when you get a guy like Russell Wilson, who I have personally seen for so many years, and he is my favorite player in the NFL, and he just wills their way to wins, and that's something that they really needed last year. I remember specifically when they played the Kansas City Chiefs really close with, I think it was Drew Lock. They needed a guy like Russell Wilson who could just take that extra step and be the reason why they win games. And I think they can do that. I do like their head coach more than I do Josh McDaniels. It is a first-year head coach. It's a hot take to think that I think it was Nathaniel Hackenberg could really build an offense that Russell Wilson is used to. I think he might have a really good year next year. I like their offensive line. I think Garrett Bowles is one of the most underrated linemen in the league. And I do like the assets they have around them. And I like the running game that they have that would pair pretty well with Russell Wilson. I like Bradley Chubb. I think Patrick Surtain's an awesome asset to have on that team. Justin Simmons is fantastic. I think that if you give enough pieces to Russell Wilson, he'll will them to enough wins to, I think, 2nd place. I think they can go 1-1 with the Chiefs and break a tiebreaker. I don't think that 2 and 3 are very much like this much of a gap. I think it's a 1A, 1B situation, and I think honestly it's the whole division. I'm not saying that one is distinctively like all far and above, but I think this is how it's going to work out. I think that's how their season's going to end up being, and I think the Chiefs could end up getting in a slump early into the season as there's so much talent, and I don't know. This is a bold prediction. I feel like I'm doing a March Madness bracket at this point, because I feel like I could honestly flip it and the Raiders get the number 1 seed and all of a sudden the Broncos are a 4 seed. I don't know what to expect, to be honest. And with the final team left, I think it's pretty obvious who is number 1 in my opinion. It's the Los Angeles Chargers. I think this team is ridiculously talented. J.C. Jackson was a fantastic pickup. Khalil Mack is one of the best run-stopping outside linebackers in all of football. I think the best. And you get 1 year to go all in on Justin Herbert at this age with that contract. It just seems destined for a Super Bowl for this team. Now, the only thing that scares me is they are a very much top-heavy team that they need in this draft. They haven't had to give up a ton of assets in the draft to do so. So build up the bench and be able to have depth guys. A lot of these teams in the AFC West are very top-heavy, such as the Chiefs and the Raiders, that can't afford a big-time injury. I think if they get a guy like Jordan Davis or a run-stopping defensive tackle, the Chargers, if they have a fantastic draft, I think they're a lock for the number 1 team. I think they are one of the best rosters constructed in all of football, and they are a Super Bowl contender right there with the Buffalo Bills. Although I do have the Buffalo Bills as my Super Bowl favorite right now, March 21st, 2022. But I do think the Chargers are just a fantastic constructed roster. I think they could go for a power back, honestly, as a pairing with Austin Eckler. But there's just so much to like with this roster. I think they could honestly get a really good wide receiver 3 in the draft. Maybe a Jameson Williams to go break the defense. I think there's so much that they could do in this draft to really elevate this team to a Super Bowl lock almost. But I really like what the Chargers did this offseason. I think they have done a fantastic job. And this is kind of me going back on what I said on the Chargers are failing Justin Herbert. It's one of my OG videos. It's one of my hated videos of all time. And I don't think the Chargers are doing that right now. I think they are going all in when they should. And I truly believe this could be one of the best teams in all of football. And when we get closer to the previews of each NFL team, which I plan to do over the summer, 1 video per team, once the draft is over and everything, and I'll do my prediction video and power rankings going through it, you'll get a deep dive on how I feel about the Chargers. But right now, as of March 21st, 2022, I have the Chargers winning the AFC West easily. And if you're at this point in the video, please like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for any likes or any love that you show in the comments. And let me know what in order you have the AFC West in. And we are on the road to 1,000 subscribers. So if you want to help me get there by the end of this summer, please drop a sub down below. It would mean the world to me. And thank you so much for watching. Leave a comment down below and have a wonderful day.